Hello, my crafty friends. This is Tranae. How you doing? So I am jumping on right quick to record this video to show you how I made the album for my December dailies. So first things up, you're gonna need some paper, and I use this recollection cardstock. It's 80 pounds. It comes in a pack of 5. You're gonna need about 4 of those. Then you're also going to need a sheet of heavy duty cardstock, like one that's a little bit heavier than that. And I used one that I think was 120 pound cardstock. But you just need one sheet of that, or you can just try using the lighter weight. I've never tried using lightweight cardstock to make the particular bind. That's what that page is going to be for, but you can try it. So the next thing you're going to need is a sheet of chipboard, and actually, to be on the safe side, get yourself 2 sheets of chipboard, because depending on the size you make your album will determine if you need 1 sheet or 2 sheets. So those are the main supplies you're gonna use paper wise, but you're also going to need some heavy duty tape. I use score tape for mine, and you're gonna need a scoreboard and a bone folder. So for my papers, I took my 12 by 12 sheets and I cut them down to make 16 6 1/4 by 9 inch papers, and then I did 16 4 by 6 inch. For the 8.5 by 11 heavy duty cardstock, I cut it down to 4.5 by 11, and another I cut 8 3/4 inch by 4 1/4 inch papers for my binding seams. And lastly, I took my chipboard and I cut it down to 4.5 by 7, and then I made the seam at 2 1/4 by 4 1/2. So now I'm taking that 3/4 of an inch paper, and I am just going to score it right down the middle and fold it in half, and then I'm going to take score tape and put it on the both sides in the middle, and only on one edge on the outer side. Next, I'm going to make the pockets for my album using my sheet of paper that's 6 1/4 inch by 9, and I'm going to score it at the 1/2 inch mark, and then again at the 4 3/4 mark. Then I'm going to add score tape on that binding seam and fold it over, glue the edges together, and that'll be my pocket. Now we're going to attach our pockets together. So I'm using those 16 pockets that we made, and you just want to make sure that they are creased very well. And then you're going to take those little tabs that we made, and then you're going to use those to connect the two by joining them at the end. Just remember, it's very important that you leave one of the little connecting pieces free, because we're going to use this to attach our pockets to our binding seams. So next, we're going to make our binding mechanism by scoring our paper. So the first score mark is going to be at 1 inch, and then you're going to go to 1/4 inch from that, and then you're going to do 2 1/2 inch score marks. So your pattern for this is going to be 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch. And this is going to create a seam for you to attach your papers to, but it's also going to create a gusset so that you don't have to worry about your papers being too close together, and that your book will turn with ease. Now this part does require a little bit of patience, because it's a lot of score marks for you to go through, but as long as you remember to keep the pattern and on your last 2 score marks, or your first one and your last one, that you leave 1 inch space, you will be fine. I don't actually like using the regular bone folders for my score marks. As you can see, I'm using a tool with a rounded ball on the end. This is a nail dotting tool, but for me it works a lot better because I always tear my paper when I use the just a regular bone folder. And then you're going to take this paper and you're going to fold it to make valleys and mountains, and that's pretty much the process for that until we get to the part where we use the tape to glue it together. Once you've completed making your mountains and valleys, your paper should look something like this. So now you're going to take your score tape and add it to the 1/2 inch section of the fold, and you want to do every other 1/2 inch. This is going to give you your hinge to connect your paper on. Remember, don't put the score tape on the 1/4 inch gusset, only on the 1/2 inch mark at this point in time. Now we're going to start removing our tape and adhering the 2 edges together. And remember, this process is easy if you have put your tape on the right part. If it's not looking like a hinge and having a gusset in between, you probably did something wrong. Just go back and make another one, or either try to pull it apart. This tape can sometimes be hard to separate, but like, I've messed up. Like, honestly, my first 2 times making these, I totally messed it up, but the 3rd time was a charm. And you know, just stick with it if you didn't catch it the first time. But this is really easy to make once you get the hang of it. And then you're just going to make sure that you use your bone folder to really press in that tape so that you'll get a nice hole. Another option is to run this through your like your die cut machine, but taking off, you run it through as if you were using an embossing folder, and it will really make everything stick together nicely. We're also going to use our scissors and cut a slight angle on our papers, and this is just so that your pockets will slide on with ease. And then we're going to come back, add more score tape to each one of those hinges on the front and back side, so that you will have a really nice secure bond between your hinge and your pocket. Now I'm going to take the tape off and put each one of my pockets on a hinge. And honestly, I did this before connecting my book together, but in retrospect, you probably want to wait until after you get everything connected to do. It doesn't really matter. It just makes handling it a little bit easier because you don't have as many pockets in your way. So now we're going to add tape onto our chipboard, and I am a heavy tape user, so just make sure it's on there secure. I add more tape to my seams just because I feel like that would be the weakest point of my album, but it's up to you. And I used a poster board to cover my album with. Now, looking back, I would not use a poster board. I would actually just go out and purchase some book binding fabric. I believe it would work a lot better. I ordered some for my next project, but you know, it's up to you. So when you add your chipboard, you want to leave a little bitty gap in between the two. Honestly, I wish I would have left a bigger gap. I read somewhere that if you use the paper as a guide, it would, you know, give you the perfect amount of space in between, but that wasn't necessarily the case, because once I put everything together and start folding my poster board split a little bit, and You know, I'm not sure if it was because I'm using a poster board or because it wasn't, you know, on there, or if it was too close together. I'm not sure which one, but I would definitely use the book binding fabric in the future, because it kind of is stronger than the poster board, and the fibers won't break down as quick as they do with just the plain paper. So that's a tip that I have. And next, all you're gonna do is add tape around the edges and secure your poster board to the chipboard. And I use my scissors to cut like little angles at the edge, just so it would take out some of the bulk of folding it. I folded my 2 long sides first, and then I came in and did the other sides. Now I'm going to secure that binding that we made to my book. And what I did was I added score tape to the top and bottom of the actual binding itself, and then I came in and added score tape to the chipboard to just add tape in both directions so that I can get a secure hold. I think when you're doing these, it's better to have more tape than what you think you need and not have enough, because you'd rather it hold together very well than to start falling apart on you. So that was my logic in using so much tape. I honestly went through about, I would say I used about a half a roll of the score tape on this project, but it's not that expensive, so I feel like it's worth it to, you know, go a little heavy on the tape. Now once you have everything secured, you want to cover up all your joints. I'm using plain cardstock for mine. However, you can use your designer papers for this if you want to take some of the bulk out of it. But I'm going to be double matting pretty much everything in my album, because my cardstock, my designer cardstock isn't super heavy duty, and I want this album to you know, last a bit amount of time, and I don't want it to be so precious that I freak out when people flip through it. So I want to give it some weight. So that's my logic behind using the cardstock to completely cover the album. So you guys may remember that I said that my edges split a little bit. So to remedy that, all I'm doing is taking some glitter washi tape, and I'm going to add it to the edges of, well, actually I'm gonna add it to the entire spine of my album. And all I'm doing is I'm adding the washi tape, but to make sure that it lasts an extra long time, I'm also going to use score tape so that it has a better bind to it. So that's what I'm doing now. So here's how my album looked after I finished it. I really loved the texture that the glitter washi tape added. I did use a lot of score tape to make sure that washi tape holds on for a good bit amount of time. And then I'm just going to decorate my front and add a little latch on it, and that's going to be it.